A UN official has publicly admitted at a WEF event that Google and the UN conspire to alter Google results. But there's nothing strange to see here.
Thank you for choosing Fox News.
No, here's the news.
Hello there, you 5.9 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining us on this voyage towards truth and freedom. Allow the effulgence within you to beam outward forever unto eternal glory. Hit the notification bell so you're informed when we release these videos. Subscribe to the channel. And remember, most crucially of all, we stream live every day on Rumble at these times. Link in the description. It's a fantastic show. We get magnificent guests on there. We talk about the stories you want to hear in a completely uncensored way without input from the WEF, the UN, Klaus Schwab, anybody. No one telling us what to do, what we can say and what we can't say. So join us on Rumble every day at 5. We upload these videos there first as well. Now let's get into today's story. A UN official has brazenly admitted that they doctor Google results in collaboration with the big tech behemoth. Now, this relates in particular to climate change. Of course, at the UN, they believe that man-made climate change is a real thing. And just so you guys know, I believe that as well. And I also certainly believe that pollution and disrespect of the planet is a great slur on our kind. Although I am open to the fact that there are epochal movements inspired by cosmological and planetary events beyond the scope of human civilization. I, of course, recognize that's a possibility, but I deeply believe that we should respect the planet. However, I also believe in freedom of information. And here's a piece of information that's significant. 71% of all global emissions are caused by 100 companies. So you don't need to go and doctor Google results so that every single thing says climate change is bad, make sure you do your recycling. Just go and individually knock on the door of 100 companies and say, stop polluting. They're responsible for 70% of it. Also, here's another piece of information that's vital. The richest 1% of the global population use twice as much carbon as the poorest 50%. My point is this: whether man-made climate change is real or not, and I know some of you don't believe that it's real, I happen to believe it's real. The UN believe that it's real. The culpability and responsibility lies more with 100 companies and the richest 1% than it does ordinary people. So by doctoring Google results, you're not solving the problem anyway. What you're doing is enforcing an agenda on ordinary people. Now, you might think that's a significant thing. Clearly, they think it's a significant thing. But for me, there are huge questions of trust. Do you trust the UN? Do you trust the WEF? Do you trust Google? Do you trust the global conspirators that dominate our planet? Now, I don't want to use tinfoil hat language. I don't have my tinfoil hat on hand, otherwise I would. But I would say that the biggest problem we face at the moment is centralized power and centralized corruption. Centralized corporate and financial force, centralized state force. The inability of ordinary people to run their own lives, whether that's from a libertarian, traditional perspective or from a socialist, progressive perspective, and all the intersectional, prismic alternatives that exist within that vast and various range. I think the big problem is freedom in your own life, freedom in your own community, the ability to access and discern information for yourself. That's why on this channel, we're interested mostly in corruption in the media, corruption in big business, corruption in government. Those are the things that interest us most. Let's have a look at this WEF conference, that well-known jolly for ordinary folk. Come one, come all to the WEF. With me, Klaus Schwab, I wouldn't like to pry.
You know, we partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change,
did I hear a cat purring there? Is Klaus Schwab's cat literally in the building? Have a listen. I suppose it would be naive to assume that an enterprise as vast as Google would not have an explicit relationship with the UN. But as you know, even on YouTube, which is a subset of Google, which is a subset of Alphabet, we've recently been censored, and we held up our hands and had already published an apology video. Have a look on Rumble if you want to see the details. But if Google and the UN are conspiring at that level about something that they're confident to discuss publicly, like climate change, is it not likely that there are other areas where they are conspiring to? Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, or let me know if you think this is an isolated incident and an isolated slip up at a friendly old WEF conference.
at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources.
That essentially means sanctioned and censored information, and that they have removed non-sanctioned and censored information. Now, as I've already told you, I believe human-influenced climate change is a real thing, and I strongly believe that all of our practices should be informed by respect to the planet and always be geared to maximising the profits of industry titans. But more significantly, I believe that the culpability lies with the 70% of emissions that come from 100 companies and from the carbon footprint of the 1%. And ordinary people oughtn't be condemned, blamed, corralled, controlled, drip-fed, biased information and have their freedom impeded so that these targets can be met, when in fact it's not going to make any bloody difference. It just seems to me like yet more leverage and control over ordinary people via big tech resources, when in fact where the regulation is required is, of course, as always, among the powerful.
We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information.
Now, distorted information in this instance means information that we disagree with. For me, science ought be a process of experimentation, discourse, objectivity where possible, continuing amendment, argument, counter-argument, theory, counter-theory, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. There are people that believe that climate change is brought about by forces that go beyond the scope and scale of humankind and human activity. Me, if I see an oil slick or I see like rainforest getting cut down, I think, well, I think that's human beings doing that, and it doesn't look good. Who benefits from that? Oh, some of the most powerful interests in the world. For me, that completely fits the paradigm of anti-establishment, anti-elite power. You let me know in the chat, you let me know in the comments what you believe. I'm all about the empowerment of ordinary people in spite of their beliefs. You love Trump, I don't give a shit. You hate Trump, I don't give a shit. You are interested in running your own life and running your own community, I'm on your side. They're not.
Right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science.
You can't own science, can you? That's like saying we own objectivity. That means you're in charge of truth. And that's the biggest problem we face when confronting power. People saying, this is what's right, this is what's real. If you disagree with us, you're wrong. That's, I think, tyranny.
And we think that the world should know it, and the platforms themselves also do.
Although when I look at her shoes, I think she's probably a nice person. A bad person wouldn't wear a strappy sandal like that.
But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
I really enjoy this guy's videos. He's brilliant, isn't he? But wouldn't you like even more of him? As you know, we are streaming every day on Rumble at these times. Now, if you are a fan of our podcast, Under the Skin, you've got to become a member of Stay Free AF. That is our community where you get even more fantastic content as a member. We're creating more free content than ever and better paid for content than you could ever imagine. We've already done interviews with Vandana Shiva, Wim Hof, Gabor Mate, Noam Chomsky. Coming up, we're going to be speaking to Donald, Bernie, Elon. I'll give you the surnames once we confirm the interviews. All of these interviews will be available on Stay Free AF, as well as my stand-up special that's going to drop in December, our community film, and opportunities to join me for live events regularly throughout the year. Stay free as fuck. There's a link below to join. Now, how does Bill Gates fit into this? Because you know he's gonna. During an appearance at Goalkeepers 2022, God, he's even interested in goalkeepers. I think you need to come off your line quicker and maybe play it out from the back. Distribute to your fullbacks. During an appearance at Goalkeepers 2022 recently, Bill Gates lamented misinformation. Gates admitted that he has a group dedicated to tracking what people say about him online. Oh no, he's gonna know about it. I'd like to take this opportunity to say, your hair looks nice, Bill. I have a group that tracks what's on the web that's talking about the things that connect to me, Gates said. A group. He's got a group that's connected to it. Well, I suppose this is what we're saying. That Bill Gates, you are a billionaire. You have incredible influence already as a result of that wealth. And that influence appears to be creeping into areas like agriculture, media, seed patenting, vaccines, health, the WHO, these donations to various media organizations. What is it that you're trying to achieve? And if, as you say, you are a philanthropist, which means a love of humanity and you're wanting to help people, I feel that you should democratize that process and ask people what it is they want and how they'd like to be helped, and allow that money to be distributed in decentralized ways, not give it to organizations that ultimately allow you to profit more. For example, during the period where you said you were going to give away 50% of your wealth actually enhanced trounced during that. There's the statistics on that. So Bill, if you're watching, or if one of your gatekeepers or goalkeepers or whatever they are is watching, if you really want to help the world, I think it's got to be about decentralization and empowering people in their own lives, allowing farmers to run their own farms, allowing experts in all sorts of diverse fields from all sorts of classes and communities to run their own lives. There, if you're watching. So hopefully that'll get to him. Gates' non-profit, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has provided hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to some of the Facebook fact-checkers whose content is used in warning labels that are appended to Facebook posts. When these warning labels are added to Facebook posts, the click-through rates decline by around 95%. No way! That's massive censorship. So they give funding to Facebook fact-checkers, and that those warning labels are highly effective. I bet some of our stuff's had that, isn't it? Of course it will have done. Gates is one of the world's biggest super emitters due to his regular private jet travel. Now, we're not saying there's anything wrong with private jet travel, but if you're out there all the time saying that private jet travel is a massive problem, don't get to the place where you said that on a private jet. Billionaires have carbon footprints that can be thousands of times higher than those of average Americans. So an average American's footprint, like a little baby footprint, and Bill Gates' footprint, like a big Diplodocus footprint coming out of an aeroplane in some sliders and socks. Oh man, I'm having a hell of a holiday. Nobody use a private jet. See you next time. So there you are. Whether you believe that man-made climate change is real or you don't, you have to believe that censorship is wrong, that you have to allow people to make their own decisions, particularly when culpability for man-made climate change, if you believe in it, which I do, lies 70% with 100 companies. Vast majority of it over the last 25 years is the responsibility of the super rich. Why, as usual, are ordinary people being asked to pay the price because of the actions of elites? You can't break that paradigm, and you oughtn't turn against people on the basis of their belief on environmental issues. If you're coming from a place of love, if you're coming from a place of freedom, then we've all got a lot more in common than we have that divides us. Let me know what you think in the comments below and in the chat below. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. Sign up to my mailing list so I can tell you all the time what we are up to. Watch us every single day on Rumble at these times. Fantastic shows, great guests, going deep, uncensored, unexpurgated, freedom right down your face holes. Join us there every day. More important than any of that is that you please stay free.